Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here with my guest, Miss Darlene, and I'm so excited to have her tell us about all the stuff that's happening right now. Welcome, Darlene.
Well, thank you. I always enjoy speaking with you.
Oh, well, same with me, same with me. And I just know that like you and I just talked right now, and you told me that the energy started to get kind of intense around the 8-8 portal. And I'm wondering if you can start there and tell us what the heck happened that we've all been in these storms in 8-8.
You're not alone. Nobody's alone in this. We're all trying to find our way together. Um, and the 888 was the opening of this portal of time that was also accompanied by many planetary placements that are changing our time and space from the Piscean age into the Aquarius full time. And all of us are experiencing this energy shift, and it's definitely shifting energy. So all of a sudden, we don't feel like ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We are operating on different energy levels. Some of it has to do with the sun spots and the solar flares that are hitting the earth. Some of it has to do with the astrology. Some of it has to do with a change in time. And some of us are deciding to move from the third dimension to the fifth dimension and beyond. And all of these things are happening all at once. And so if you don't feel you're normal or you don't feel you're who you thought you were, you're right on track.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Um,
Okay. Wow.
there's no such thing as normal right now. But with that, we are in a transitionary period of time. And we will be going through that for the end of till through the end of this year and probably into some of next year. And they're telling us, mostly the astrologers are telling us that things should normalize by 2026, but they should be much better by 2025 because we're in the beginning of this.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to help people understand that all the talk about becoming your authentic self is what I've been talking about for years since I wrote my first book about um, freedom through numbers by finding your I am. And the I am is what they're talking about, that authentic self of who we are. And many of us have been hiding all our whole life, just waiting for this time, because in this time, our special gifts that we hold will be honored if we believe in our authentic self and who we are and allow ourselves to open up to honor that magnificent part of ourself that we were trained, most of us, from early on. Don't think you're any better than anybody else, and no ego. And this is not about ego. This is about your own self importance. And the reason you came here to live this life on this earth is to be here in this time. If you're still here, you've still got a purpose for being here. And that purpose is to share what you know in your authentic self to help others. And so that's what I do in my practice. And energy uh, is very important right now. Just like we've moved into the computer age, we're moving into an age of energy and more energy than physicality. And these are things that are mind boggling to us. Okay. And
Mhm.
so it's a new way of being. And we'll address a little bit of moving from 3D um, into 5D and why that's important.
Yeah, yeah. How do people move from 3D to 5D, and how do you see all that? Because like you said, there's a lot of words out there, people using different words for different changes, right? But simply put, how would you say like people can know if they're in the 3D versus 5D in their consciousness, and what would their life look like if they were going from their 3D life to the 3D, 5D self?
Well, 3D is about everything we can touch, things we can put our hands on. Okay. 2D is a piece of paper. Okay. That's 2D. And 3D is things we can touch, and our body is in 3D. Okay. And then there's 4D. Okay. We do want to skip over that, because what 4D for me means is mass consciousness. Everybody's thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent, are in that level. And
All thoughts are there. It's not just the people
all
that are
thoughts,
manifesting good. It's everybody is there. Oh, that's, yeah, that's an important
everybody's,
distinction. I never, thank you for sharing that.
and that's pure chaos.
And
Okay.
it feels like chaos right now. It's like, "Rah," if you tune into it, it's like,
Right. And so a lot of people, try to raise their vibration, and they hit that level and they say, oh, no, I'm going to go back to 3D. No, you have to have a thin thread of your energy passing through 4D and arriving at 5D, which 5D is our meditative self, our quiet self, our pure self. Okay. And getting to that place of we are more this pure self-importance energy than we are part of the material world. Okay.
yeah. Wow. Yeah.
We need at least 10% in 3D, though. Otherwise, we run into a grounding problem, and we're not grounded. Like your beautiful tree in your background. Those roots are grounded and are a communication system amongst the trees. And if we ourselves are not grounded, other people can't see us or detect us. So we don't want to go flying up too high there in the dimensions, so we cannot be seen or heard.
That's so true, because I've had that happen where I was like walking and like, you not see me, and I was like, oh, and you're right. It's like I was kind of floating in some days, when you're happy or joyful, you just get in this. But then you're right. It's like 50% of our power comes from half of the bottom part of our aura, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's
And
why they
grounded.
have us wearing those plastic shoes, because it's almost like cutting us off. Right?
Exactly.
Do
And
like
those are very important things. Barefoot on the earth, being in nature, all those things, because we can't make a difference on the earth unless we're in a grounded place. And if we get up in 3D, rather 4, 5, 6, 7, way up there, we can't make a difference because nobody can feel our energy. We're invisible to people unless we're grounded.
Whoa.
Okay. So I wear hematite a lot, hematite jewelry.
Good one for grounding.
Very good for grounding. And not only that, but a lot of the essential oils like peppermint oil and vetiver and Shinrin Yoku, those different essential oils are made from trees. So they're very helpful in helping us stay grounded.
What was the third one you said? Shenren, what was that?
Shinrin Roku.
And they get
Okay.
Amazon.
There's different essential oil companies. All the companies are great. It just is different names they put on different blends, So with that, moving into 5D, we are more connected with that authentic self. And this is the importance here of what we're talking about. For me, authentic self and the I am are the one and the same. Okay. In old biblical sayings, Moses was told, I am that I am, when he was at the burning bush. Okay. And that I am was never really understood well. And so it is identifying that my I am is a part of the God space, of the God energy, the creator, the source. We all have a piece of that within us. We're all part of that, or we wouldn't be here. So with that, how do we figure out what we're doing with our energy? Because we've been brought up to be focused outside of ourselves,
Mhm.
not on who we are inside. And that's the I am piece. And we're always been taught to look, well, use that for a role model and see if you can be like that, or be like that, or be like that. Nobody said be who you are and be all of who you are. Okay.
It's told us in school or different ways, like this is you're doing this wrong. There's a lot of criticism and shifting, like kind of like socializing humans to kind of become, instead of like, what is the thing that makes you the most excited? Go out and do that. And then like little kids that are artists, they know they're artists when they're little, but then they force them to learn all this crap. Or like kids that like computers, just let them do that. So you're saying like what you like naturally, your most authentic self, that's your God self. So that's
I always tell clients, go back and see what your favorite thing to do as a kid was. For me, it was connect the dot books. There's the number. Okay.
now you
And
have numbers for people to connect the dots in their life for them. And also
exactly.
help people find their inner gifts. I feel like that's when you helped me the most was when I had the reading with you. I was in such a hermit mode. I was like just myself all the time in a cave, and you were like, Pantea, you're supposed to be like talking in front of people. And I'm like, what? Like never. And all my close friends never would have thought I would be on YouTube. But when God says something and God spoke to me through you. And so I feel like people should definitely come to you if they want to know about their gifts for the Aquarian age and what they're supposed to do. And then you also help them find the blockages, like as well with the dowsing
Right.
that you do.
Yeah. I'd also like to do with you the new energy assessment pieces.
I love
Um,
excited for that.
because those are the things that when we don't have those energy alignments in place and all working at 100%, it's like we're beating our head against the wall. We can't get where we're going. And knowing the self is a big part. And you're fortunate that you really do know your natural self more than most. And it's an energy that all of the ancient philosophies, all the traditions are based on, every one of them. But yet we've been trained to stay away from them.
What do they
And
call it? Like, because I know you've studied these, like, could you say like in this philosophy they call it this, and this philosophy they call it this kind of thing? Because it's like their soul versus like your higher mind, and all these different things.
well, there are many, many things, and I'm not that educated in all the different philosophies to make a list like that. But I use the I am, but also a lot of people are saying the God self, the
Mm.
authentic self. But like I say, in many different traditions, the Buddha tradition, and those traditions, it's always been about going within and meditating to find that self, okay, and to acknowledge. And in many ways, it's the little kid in us. So many people carry traumas, and that little kid just got shut down. And we need to welcome that little kid back into our world and acknowledge her or him in the fact that we are the adult in charge now. We will take care of them.
Mm.
And that is a whole piece of work that helps people come back into their own special gifts that they've brought here. And every one of us have special gifts we've brought here. There's nobody that comes into this world without an agenda of helping others or being something that they are supposed to be to help the world. And sometimes it goes the negative way. And because it's been beaten out of them, or, it's been suppressed. And that's when we lose hope. Hope, love, and light are the biggest beams of energy we can bring into our life.
Mm.
And forgiveness for ourselves for doing things we think we did that weren't right. And so we forgive ourselves, there's so many aspects of what makes us hide who we really are. And
Mm.
so when I work with the client, I check to see if they're grounded, because like I said, if you're not grounded, you're not going to make a difference to yourself or anybody else here. And then I check the emotional, we have 5 layers to our energy field.
Mhm.
So there's the physical layer, the emotional layer, the mental layer, the spiritual layer, and the energetic layer. And
Mhm.
all of those layers have information for us, but
Mhm.
they all need to be operating at 100%. All
Mhm.
of my dowsing, I use a lot of percentages
Oh, I love.
because it helps me tell where someone is, what they need to work on, or what they need to fine tune to get the most out of that energy.
I love
Now,
that. I love that.
physical,
I love that. And you also create labyrinths for people in their home. So you
that's my other
check
dowsing.
yes, you check
Yes,
people's auras, but you also can go to someone's land and ask Mother Nature, Earth, the elements, you know how to do that communication in a sacred, respectful way. And if the land gives permission, you build labyrinths for people, which is
I
so cool.
do.
Tell us about that, like how you do it and then what labyrinths are good for. Because I've walked a few labyrinths without I even knew what they were, but I just was like, I would find them randomly places, in my hike trails, like in Mount Shasta, I found one, and there's one in Carlsbad in San Diego. Could you
Right.
tell us about that?
Labyrinths are a beautiful tool
Hmm.
that opens up a vortex
Hmm.
on the earth that spirals down into the core of the earth,
Hmm.
but also up into the core of the heavens. Okay. And so I specialize in the 7 circuit labyrinth. I like using that one because of our 7 chakra physical system.
Hmm.
And so I douse with L rods that look like the letter L. They're metal. I prefer the copper ones.
Hmm.
And I ask the land if it wants a labyrinth, and if so, where it wants to be located. And then I douse where is the center, and it will tell me. And then when I get that, I put a flag there. And then where is the entrance? So those are the 2 main points I start with. And the center is ends up where when you walk it, you get to the center. Okay. And the entrance, of course, is where you enter into the paths. And
Hmm.
some people mistakenly call it a maze. It is not a maze because there are no dead ends and you cannot get lost. It's by trusting, putting one foot in front of the other on this path that you will get to the center. And
Wow.
you take in everything that you want to pass on to the universe, to the gods, and to let go of. And when you get to the center, you finish letting go of what you're done with. And then I do a little meditation and honor the east, south, west, north directions, the above and the below. And then I ask that vortex to download me with what I need to take out to the world to share with the world. And then I trust that putting one foot in front of the other will also get me back out to the entrance. Because if you're just looking at the labyrinth, it's very difficult to see how the path goes. Okay.
Wow. 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 It's like so many points as you're sharing that insights for me.
Right. And then I've doused many labyrinths, but 2 that are outstanding is I've done one that the woman with the property was asking that she wanted to raise the vibration of the town that she was born and grew up in. It
Mhm.
was a mill town and it was pretty low energy
Mhm.
and run down. And so she wanted just one labyrinth, but in dowsing it, we came to the fact that the land wanted 2 labyrinths. So one is a male entrance and the other is a female entrance. And
Mhm.
they're both 50 feet in diameter. And
Wow.
so, which is quite large.
50
And
in diameter, like the center of it, or like the whole thing becomes
the
50 feet?
whole thing is 50
Oh,
feet,
wow.
which
Mhm.
is longer than my house.
Wow.
And anyway, but there's 2 of them. And so that was very unique that there would be 2 rather than one.
Mm.
I put one in my own yard, not this April past, but the previous April in 23 on Earth Day, 4/22,
Mhm.
23. And it asked that there be 3 trees included in it.
What? I love that.
There's a huge oak tree on the third path, which is the entry path. It's a female one because it turns to the right when you enter. The males turn to the left. No, I've got that backwards. The female turns to the left when you enter. Our female side is the left side,
Got
and
it.
the male turns to the right. And so those two that were male and female, if you pick them up and put them together this way, they're a mirror copy, but when they're laying on the ground, one turns to the left and the other one turns to the right when you enter.
Whoa.
So,
Do you feel
um,
the difference in your house after you put that there? Like, did the energies and did you feel a difference like in the whole property after it?
there's a huge difference. And the story behind mine is there's 2 different properties that are involved. And my original property is next door to me across the driveway
Mhm.
where I lived when I first moved to Wells, and my daughter was 2, so it was a lot of years ago. And but anyway, this property, the first property is where I lost my first husband at age 28, and I had 3 children. This property is where I lost my second husband and my last partner I had in life. So the labyrinth like joined those 2 properties, and the trees are processing the grieving processes.
Wow, that's
That oak tree is like the mother tree. And then there are 2 pine trees on the outer layer, the first one out. And right between those pine trees is the original land marker from the 2 properties. So the labyrinth is exactly on both pieces of property, the original.
That's unbelievably mystical and powerful how like nature is supporting your family and like you're supporting nature. It's just that beautiful, analogous, harmonious nature that like to me that's a true mastery, somebody that can actually understand nature that deeply where nature is starts supporting them as a best friend. And I love that. And the
Right.
oak tree is a mother because yeah, I always see the oak as kind of like a library of the wise men. So I love
Oh,
the
yes.
idea of an oak tree. God, as a beautiful. So thank you
Right.
for sharing that.
Yes. And when I first doused this one here on my property, the energy goes out about a mile.
Mhm.
And the last time I doused it, they keep increasing. It's now a radius of 21 miles. And I'm only 5 miles from the ocean on the main coast.
Gets to the ocean, it will be carried out to all the
So it
waters
will be
of the earth.
carried out into the water of the oceans. Okay.
Okay.
And going back and dowsing the energy of the town where the other lady was with the double labyrinths,
Mhm.
uh, we doused the energy of her town at 45% out of 100 when we put the labyrinth in. It's now dowsing at 98%. And the whole town is being renewed. The downtown has new businesses, new high quality restaurants. People are moving in, and I asked how many miles out hers was because hers was put in on Columbus Day weekend in 2015,
Mhm.
and so next year it'll be 10 years,
Mhm.
and so hers dows that it's now operating like a 90-mile radius. So they are so powerful, and it's all with intention of working with the earth.
Mhm.
Okay. And God represents that upper energy or
Yeah.
source, whatever your name is for that energy. And then the earth holds the other part of that, our grounded part.
Yes.
And so they're magical, I have to say. So between that
Hopefully
and
someday I can have you build one for me because I'm obsessed already and I'm already imagining in my mind what we're gonna put it in.
Okay, where are you located?
I'm in San Diego now, but I don't know where God will take me like as all the changes are coming. But right now I'm in San Diego. There's like lands and mountains around here, and I've thought about like, putting a little Adobe kind of like on land before different structure because that protects from 5G. It seems like Adobe structure is the only one where you don't feel because it's Mother Earth kind of around you. But yes, I will keep, you're gonna
Yeah.
come. I can see it in my mind now.
Well, we're on opposite coasts, so we're affecting both sides of the United States anyway.
I love that. Like that. Cool, cool, cool. Can you talk to us a little bit about, remember you were saying earlier to me, like the bigger picture for our whole world, like what we're all going to create versus our small vision, and then what we each have to do to get that bigger vision. Do you want to kind of talk about that at all? 'Cause I think that's
Sure.
important.
Well, that's going to take me back to how we've been living for 2000 some odd years in Piscean age or Pisces energy. And now it's time for us to be fully in Aquarian energy. And back in the 60s, when I graduated high school, we were in a little window of time that was Aquarius. That's when that song was written. Now, somebody had some big premonition or prophecy when they wrote that song, okay, the age of Aquarius.
I
And then
love that.
it was not only written by someone, but then it was recorded by the Fifth Dimension song group.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
go figure. That was way
Fifth
back in the
dimension, Age of
60s.
Aquarius, like that was 60. That was like, that was like 60s. Yeah. Oh my God.
60, yeah. And I look back in time, and I read an article about the window of Aquarius in either 62 or 63 on Valentine's Day of that year to whatever year I saw this article. The Aquarius lineup was identical. And so that period of time was predicted to be now. I mean, they didn't know then how long it was going to take to get to it, but
They
we're in
saw
it
this.
now.
They probably were seeing visions of this and then beyond, kind of like
Exactly.
they're
So
probably already
that,
there living there.
right. That's the bigger picture, is it's in the astrological change in time where the planets are creating different energies. Okay. And so the difference between back then was the power over of the Piscean age, Christianity, all that. And we were all brought up to be more herded, like we all had to be the same. Okay. Our uniqueness was not honored, or we were not told to search for our uniqueness or find it. And now we're in a time where we each need to be in our uniqueness, our own authentic self, that I am piece. Okay. And it doesn't mean that nobody found their I am back then, but we are really focused on it now.
Because if everybody found their I am presence, then they would be guided from that presence and they would be using their gifts to contribute to different parts of the world to be created. But there's a lot of confusion about authenticity. Like, like, for example, like people think being their true self is like, oh, I just say whatever I want and however I feel. It's like, no, 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 that's not our true self, So, or like, this is just who I am. They have to accept me the way I am, that kind of thing. I hear people say, if they don't love my shadow, they don't, that kind of thing. So, our true authentic self is really like a sage, right? Like we know we found our authentic self, we're somehow acting like mature for our age kind of thing, that would be like a sign instead of like our inner child is an access point, right? Because that helps us to like love ourselves and forgive ourselves. But when we're truly acting from our higher self, it's like turn the other cheek kind of thing more than like, you know what I mean? Right?
Well, there's so much in what you've just said. Okay. One part is there is the the authentic self where people will use that as an excuse
Mm-hmm.
to be anything they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's called ego in capital letters. Okay.
Oh,
My way or the highway. Okay.
yeah.
That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about that special piece of source energy, creator energy that we have, that it's part of our purpose. And that purpose, I always say, especially people that carry one energy, is all about self-importance. And self-importance is not ego. It's I came into this world for a purpose, and I intend to fulfill that purpose. That's self-importance. It's not about look at me, how great I am, or do it my way or the highway kind of thinking. Okay. So that self-importance is giving yourself permission. And permission is a big part of this. The other piece that's a big part of it is the word awareness. Once you have the awareness of these things, then that's 99% of the equation. Then you can find a way to help yourself get to it. But if you're not even aware that there is such a thing as the authentic self, then you have a problem. You can't get to it unless you're aware that there's a special part of you that you've kept safe and you've hidden because maybe it didn't feel safe to just be who you were. Sometimes I have a lot of women clients, and a lot of them were brought up in a house full of men and brothers, and they were overwhelmed, and they weren't going to do anything to be who they were because they were afraid of getting hurt for it. Okay.
Sometimes you stick out, people beat you up, I was bullied a lot, when I first moved to America. I had girls like hitting me and stuff, even like I was just like, what's going on? But it's like when you like then you kind of hide yourself, like your specialness, and then it's kind of like
Absolutely.
back again and be like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But it's deeper, like what you're saying. It's like our
It's much deeper.
It's like, who
And
was that
why?
girl in second grade? That little girl. She was kind of funny. So
Mm-hmm. But why is bullying such a big part of our
American
society
taught it
now?
so much, I would say, because in
You
Iran,
know?
I was never bullied in school, and I mean, but it was an all-girls school. Maybe that's why we went to an
Could
all-girls
be.
school. But even then, like whenever I had a party, I would invite every girl in class because I didn't want to leave anybody out. But then in America, when I moved here in seventh grade, girls were so mean. It was like the movie Mean Girls, and I was just like, whoa, like why are girls so mean here? Because I never experienced that in Iran. It was more like we would all hang out. Our families were all friends. It was like different. But American culture seems like it was like girls were always like, I don't know, it was like this weird thing. Everybody looked different. So there was kind of this sense of like, oh, you're this color, I'm this color, like you're from Middle East. And then 9/11 happened and there was a lot more bullying. And then I feel
What
like, yeah, so it's kind of like
what year of school were you in?
when 9/11 happened, I was a sophomore, and I remember everything changed about how I was treated after that. It was like going to the airport, they would check me every time, 5 times. It was like going even across the border, they would stop me. And at school too, they'd be like, oh, you're a terrorist, that kind of stuff. And so but I think bullying is such a big part of our culture. I remember one of our professors had us read a book called like Bully Nation, and it's about like the culture of America. And if you even watch the sitcoms, there's so much sarcasm and making fun of people, and it's like ha ha ha, and it's so cruel because sarcasm comes from the word to cut flesh. And sarcasm is like a constant part of American humor, right? Well, look at that person. They're this, but yeah, but no, in like the Eastern cultures, I think people say more behind your back, maybe. But in American culture, they just say it. It's a more aggressive culture. Eastern culture, we're kind of taught like you got to be polite and like respect kind of thing. Maybe that's why. But I just know in America, there's a lot of bullying. Even as an adult, I experienced that because I'm more in my feminine energy. Sometimes like people will bully me and be like, oh, you're such a Barbie. And I'm like, well, actually, that's Dr. Barbie to you. But I kind of like joke in my head. Like, I'm like, why is that people see femininity as a weakness? To me, like it's my power. But yeah, but I think a lot of people experience this. It's not just me because I have my other female friends telling me they're experiencing that kind of stuff too. Why do you think like people bully so much? Like from the perspective ego, higher self? Like why does and there's a lot of bullies online. I see people talking bad about people, and I'm like, that's like the biggest black magic, right? Like they talk about like when you gossip about someone, that's like you're putting black magic out there and it'll kind of come back to you. So bullying has a lot of different dimensions, I feel.
Well, I think anybody that bullies is so insecure in themselves
Mhm.
that they have to tear other people down.
Mm.
And insecurity is rampant, is because none of us have been taught how to be proud of our self-importance.
Mhm.
And it's a what it is more of a power over. That's a part of our Piscean age. We've been in, let's keep people herding in the same herd. Everybody thinks the same way. Nobody can be different because that might cause a problem. So get back into the herd, you
Mm.
know. And so it's about jealousy, a lot of it. I notice in my own experience between children and grandchildren that sixth, seventh, eighth grade in girls, there is so much trying to figure out who they are that they are so mean to one another, just trying to sort of establish their property, and there's so much meanness, and it's because they don't have a secure sense of who they are.
Mhm.
They're floundering, and so they don't know who they are, so they have to attack anybody that looks confident in who they are. They will bully them. Okay, and so that's just my experience and my
That makes
opinion.
sense. And Adam Sandler made a movie about it on Netflix. Exactly what you said. It's called Hubby Halloween. Everybody should watch it since Halloween's coming up. And he's the nicest man, but he's a little like naive, but everybody makes fun of him for that. But in the end, it's funny. Like his mom gets all the bullies to say why they made fun of him. And their answers was shocking. And I was like, whoa, it's one of my favorite movies ever. Adam
Say the name
Hub-
again.
Hubby Halloween by Adam Sandler on Netflix.
Hobby,
Yeah, like I
HOB.
think it's like I think his name is Hubby or something, like H-O
Okay.
and then Hubby Halloween Adams. It came out like 2 years ago. But you're right.
Okay.
That so I my vision for the new world is that nobody gets bullied. Like everybody gets to be who they are. Like this is what you want to dress like, this is who you want to love, this is, and there will be no wars because no country is going to be allowed to bully another country again. Because right now
Exactly.
like the ones with the biggest arms are bullying a lot of little guys, and sources telling me like that will be ending because like they keep thinking
Yes.
these warlord demons they're going to keep going. I'm actually going to interview a war reporter next week and have her tell us too. But
Wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful. You're
what
doing such a great service to all of us for what you're doing and how your knowing is helping this process. Okay. So keep up the good work, because you're informing people. And I think people need to be informed in multiple different ways from different angles. And that's what you're doing. You're addressing those different angles. And um, the self-importance that we need to feel in who we are, and is incredible. Right now, I'm very fortunate in my daughter is a channeler, and this came to her after a near-death experience. And there is a friend of hers that has a dog who is a beautiful little girl dog. And she is channeling. Kita is the dog's name.
yes.
And, Kita, as she calls herself, a human angel doggy.
Oh,
And she is very proud of who she is. And we need to know this about our animals and our pets as to what their soul mission is in helping us.
oh.
And anyway, so, but she will say, I'm magnificent or I'm spectacular
The
because
doggy says
I'm
that they love
doing,
themselves.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
doing my job, she says. This is my job to help you understand this. And so we're doing a talk with her on not this next Friday night on the 27th.
nice.
And so my daughter has finally agreed to do a little presentation about this. And
Can people sign up for it, or is it already full, or is that something
it's
people can?
going to be on Zoom. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can contact.
Are you getting my newsletters?
I'm not getting your newsletters. Maybe
Oh, we got to make sure you get my
yeah,
newsletters because
yeah.
I've got a lot going on.
Oh my God, I have to know everything you have going on.
Yeah,
See,
I'll send you a link to that because with her
All my
experience.
clients that I sent you done reading for have given me like grand reviews. So I love your work. And that's why I always will support you. And thank you for coming on and sharing with us. It's so important. And yeah, I feel like it's just like I'm only interviewing people I trust that I feel have integrity. To me, like there's a lot of people out there online that I'm just like, get the heck out of here. Like it's just like so much lies. And then I see them have like, I'm just like, wow, no way. Like the people I'm interviewing are all people I would back 100%. So
Right.
that's it.
Well, I appreciate that. Um, so anyway, but there's so many angles that we need to look at things right now. And from the pet angle and how they're supporting us through the eyes of this dog who is talking with the archangels and getting assignments and training new puppy babies that are being born. I mean, this is giving me a view of the world on the other side of the veil that I was not aware of. And so our world is expanding. And that's why I'm trying to tell you this, is because it's beyond our imagination.
Wow.
And anything that's been sci-fi in the past has
Mm.
become reality. So we can't discount some of this stuff. It is happening. We are able to telecommunicate. We are going to be able to teleport ourselves. All those things are coming in the future. But we have to be genuinely connected to our soul self, our God self, our I am self, our authentic self.
Pitfalls that get in the way from all the years you've worked with people, what are the pitfalls that get in the way of their I am presence?
Negative beliefs are
About
the biggest
themselves
one.
or the world?
Both,
Both.
both about themselves and not believing in themselves and not believing they are good enough,
Mm.
uh, mainly. And women have the worst part of this because men have always been put above women. And in society, men have importance, not women.
Mhm.
And so I work mostly with women. I have men as well that I work with, but don't forget the women also have a masculine internal side, and the men also have a feminine internal side. We all have both. We're not supposed to be divided into either or. We all have both energies within us. So, as women, we need to bring that strong masculine side to the forefront and believe in ourselves, okay? Because intuitively, psychically, we have that power to connect to
Mhm.
that authentic self.
Do you visualize it when you connect to source? Like I do a lot of different ways. One of the ways is sometimes I kind of imagine like a fishing hook and I drop it into the source consciousness field and I kind of just feel it download into me. Sometimes I'll feel like a golden cloud of light or something like that. And I just kind of have it hover over me, just raining on me or something like that. So sometimes I'll just see like a gold waterfall. Sometimes I'll kind of do it from my heart where I'll see like the sun come out and then like kind of, ooh, and then I just say the statement like Source and I are one in this body now. Source and I are one in this body now. And and I say it 3 times, always that's one of my favorite numbers. And
You're very visual.
yeah,
I, on the other hand, have the cognition of being more of a knower. I have a knowing rather than a visual.
how do you do it? How do you do it? Because I want people to learn all the ways, because we need all the ways to connect to source that we can do.
Well, in the knowing, I just I have this mantra that I do that's in my book, and it has to do with that logo that's on the cover of my
Could you
book.
show it, please? Because I love your logo. I'm obsessed with it. And I'll always say that because it kind of puts so many things in one. Could you? Okay, yeah. So,
Okay, so in the logo, we've got where the A is, that's heaven. Where
mhm.
the M is, that's earth. And the red line is your Kundalini line.
Mhm.
So the top of your head is the center of heaven. The root chakra is the center of earth. And heaven and earth meet at the heart chakra. And
Mhm.
so when you have this vortex coming down from heaven and the vortex coming up from below,
Mhm.
then you can give and receive these yellow circles to each other on the earth plane.
Oh.
And all of it is heart centered. And as you'll notice, the Kundalini line creates a capital I.
Oh, I know.
A, Almighty, all that is. M, Mother Earth, matter, material world. I am that I am. And
Whoa.
of course, the tree represents this whole thing
So
because
the
the
tree is
tree
the
is
heaven and below
rooted.
because the roots are the mother, and then the top of the tree is like the source.
It has to go out for physical photosynthesis to eat its food to come back to the heart. So we're doing this great big figure eight all the time. This
Oh
way,
yeah, the prayer that you taught us. I remember like you can teach
yeah,
that to people, that thing where they ground and that other one. Yeah, I love
right.
that.
I
Mhm.
just bend over and scoop up the earth energy, and I reach up and bring down the earth energy to the heart.
That,
And
that
then I say, I am fully connected above and below.
I am
My
fully connected.
job
Love it.
today
Mhm,
is to just show up.
mhm.
Universe, God, spirit, whatever you call that energy, your job is to bring me safely where I need to be, bring to me who needs to see me, and bring me to whomever I need to see to fulfill my purpose in this lifetime.
I love
And
prayer.
it's worked for me since, well, I
Yeah.
started my path in the 80s.
And you've been
And
working on this path a long time and you've been guided the whole time, right? You've been saying that prayer and somehow the people who need you show up and you go where you need to go safely. Thank goodness.
well, when I was in college doing my math study, I decided to go to college at age 50, you'll have to understand.
Mhm.
And I was doing my math study and I got a download. This was downloaded to me as well as that mantra. While I was writing to a professor about the book I was reading at the time, and I walked away from that computer. I was crying, I was giggling, I was laughing, I was shaking. I didn't know what was happening to me. My daughter was looking at me and she didn't know what to do, but it was definitely a spiritual download. And that's when all this came to me. Okay.
So
That's
powerful.
the only time I've been so visual
Mm.
and connected.
Did you
Okay.
know?
Otherwise, it's more knowing.
I'm a knowing, claircognizance. So your strongest
Right.
ability is
Cognizance.
claircognizance. Yes,
Right.
I love that.
So,
People
so
can get
that
that book
was,
on Amazon, right? Or is it on your website? On
it's on both,
Amazon.
but Amazon is the quickest way to get it, of course.
And the other
And
one is for teenagers, you were saying, right? Because you wrote that for middle school, how to do the I am presence, your other book.
well, that was the reason we wrote it. It's good enough for anybody can use it, but
Oh,
it's
perfect.
simplified into a workshop version of figuring your numbers. Okay. And just so kids can identify, because when they're in junior high and high school, they're still looking for who they are, just
Well,
like we've looked for that. I mean, I have my whole life. And so but both of the books are on Amazon and any of your local bookstores. I like to promote the local bookstores.
yes.
In Maine here, all the local bookstores carry it, but
Yes.
you can go to your local bookstore and it is on and available for them to order it.
Oh,
So in any bookstore.
I love
So anyway, but that was such a changing point in my life when I turned 50. My 50s were the most important part. And the other part, I'm going to take you back to numerology just for a moment,
it.
is when you're in an age that has a zero, you're changing a decade, right?
Mhm.
So for me, 50 was very important because I decided to go to college. I didn't have this life when before that. I was working for my husband and his passions and loves of automobile businesses. um, but so when I turned 50, that changed.
Mhm.
And this year, well, actually last November, I turned 80. And so this year has been so powerful because of that zero. And come November, I'll be 81. But I was so excited for myself to be 80 during this 888
Oh, that's true. It's like a 4-8 for you.
portal. Yes, it was just incredible for me personally to
I
have
love
that.
how God did that for you, you know? Like God likes to do, and since you're a number person, that's why he would talk to you in number. Like
Oh,
yeah,
yes, I always get messages through
yeah.
numbers.
He always
But
has everything to throw in our own language.
right. So it was part of my soul's purpose to be here doing this at this time. And we all need to acknowledge that we all have a purpose. And at certain times it changes and we flip from one thing to another. But right now, the importance of you finding out that pure, authentic self and doing whatever, like for you, you were hiding out and being the hermit, but you really need to be doing these speaking things. And you've done it so well that it's when you step into that role that your soul is meant to be part of, it just naturally flows.
Mhm.
And that's what it's done for me. And I just finished doing two women's retreats back to back, 2 weekends in a row after coming off of taking June, July, and August off. And so I've been back to back to back ever since September 1st. And it's been incredible to get into these groups. One of them had 100 women, more than 100 women, and the power that you could just feel at this lakeside camp with all these women. And then the other one the next weekend was by a river that's a very powerful river connected to the ocean here in the New Hampshire area. And that one had 35 to 50 people all weekend. And so women are gathering. And it's important for women to support each other
Mhm.
and for women to acknowledge, not be jealous of each other, but to say, well, I see this works really well in you, but I work really well with this. We all have a purpose,
Mhm.
okay? And jealousy does not figure. Accusing each other of things, none of that is empowering. That's all debilitating. And we need to stand in our power more than anything else right now. And we need to not be stuck into the division of our political systems.
Mhm.
And divide and conquer is over. That was part of the Piscean age.
Mhm.
Okay. We need to move into that oneness, that we're all just one earth with. I remember the old picture we used to have, and I can't remember the song right now, but they used to play a song and it was on a commercial, and all the children were holding hands around the earth.
Love that image. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the way we all need to be in our pure innocence of childhood and our specialness, because we knew what that specialness was when we were born. And some of us were never allowed to um, amplify it or define it or bring it out, but it's time now. It's
It's time
very much
now. And you're
time.
saying like the solar flares, the planetary alignments, the year, like everything is basically like the whole universe is supporting all of us to become our true selves, basically. And sometimes when you say that, it
Absolutely.
sounds like, oh, we've heard that before. It's like, no, this is actually it. Like we've been saying it for 10 years, but now this is when it actually happens. And
There's as a quote, I'm not good at memory anymore with quotes, but like you are the one you've been waiting for.
mm,
Okay. And that is just so appropriate right now. I think Marianne Williamson was one of them that used to say that. But it may have come from Gandhi. I don't know. But
we are the
um,
ones we've been waiting for. We kind of keep saying, hey, who's gonna save
exactly.
us? Like the aliens, like Jesus. Like it's like, no, it's gonna be each of us becoming our God self, doing our dharma, the new world we get created, and then we're gonna destroy evil. Because I'm so done with evil. There will be no place for them in the new world.
Well, I
That's
think,
what I'm hoping for.
yeah. Well, different than destroying evil,
What do we
I
do to
think I think there's going to be a division.
them? Hmm.
Okay. Those that need to live in that energy
Hmm.
will stay in 3D.
Hmm.
Those that need to
Hmm.
evolve into 5D and above will have the ones we were waiting for. Okay. To me, I feel
Can you talk about that more?
energetically.
Yeah. Can you explain that? Like, because some people think like it's almost like it's going to be two Earths, or is it going to be two simultaneous realities, but we just won't run into those kind of things anymore?
Well,
What?
let's put it this way.
Hmm.
Um, if you're operating on 3D, like most of us are right now, and we have to keep 10% of our energy in 3D in order to stay on the earth. Okay, that's
And it's
important.
always, you're saying,
Okay.
no matter what. Okay.
But the more that we put ourselves in 5D,
Hmm.
6D, 7D, 8D, the
Hmm.
less we are going to be affected by or even feeling
Ah,
that evil, because it's going to stay on that 3D, 2D, 1D level. That's the separation. I don't think we're going to have two Earths,
mhm.
but if you are it's why we don't see aliens. They operate at a much higher level than we do, so we can't see them. We are going to be operating on a higher level, so we're not going to be affected by or seeing that lower level. That's the way I'm
We don't have to
understanding it.
destroy them. We just have to become ourselves and then they'll leave us. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot simpler and we don't have to go to war. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about like the Mahabharata, the good versus evil, which is it is kind of happening, but the way we're going to defeat evil is we're going to do it our way, which is we're going to rise above it all, which is what the eagle does, right? Like the eagle goes and doesn't fight the snake on the ground. It just rises and then the snake can't come up there anymore.
Right. All these parables are perfect, but they're all describing that same thing, is that the energy is going to be different. We're either going to operate in this higher level,
Mhm.
or some people are going to choose to stay in that lower level. But it's
Hard. Yeah.
the two are not going to be divide and conquer anymore.
Okay. Okay. I like.
That's the energy we're leaving. Is there, if as long as we're in 3D, we need to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
We don't aren't going to need that. And eventually I think we'll be all in 5D. But right now, um, the other thing that I've been learning through my Kita channel is the fact that even on the other side, this is a new happening where humans in bodies have never evolved to 5, 6, 7, 8D and stayed in their bodies before.
Exactly. They always leave
Okay.
before, right? They always like when they
They
enter the
always
light.
left to go to those dimensions, to be on the other side of the veil. And this is almost a new experience in humanity,
Mhm.
that we can evolve and stay in the body. And so
It
it,
just feels different to be in the body, right? Like it's like intense, and the masters that are in the 5D, some of them I notice have physical stuff, like intense. One of our teachers has had like cancer 40 years, Durbanville, and it's like like he maintains that love energy. It's like, whoa. So how do people kind of like, yeah, like because it's easy to go back to 3D, like somebody we love gets sick or something happens, like it's kind of like we go back into that fear vibration, we lower again, right? So with the changes that's coming, how do we kind of stay in our source self, having to face our deepest fears, which is what's kind of coming?
well, fear removes love,
Hmm.
and love pushes fear out of the way.
Hmm.
So we need to stay in that love energy. Love is the highest vibration. But the fact about diseases and cancers and heart attacks and everything, every soul has a path to walk on this earth. And sometimes they can teach their lesson better and teach compassion mostly by having one of those diseases.
Mm.
Okay, I have a handicapped special needs son, and he teaches people how to have compassion more than anybody I know. Okay, but he's a very old soul.
Mhm.
Okay, and different souls have volunteered to play different parts to teach different things. And so I don't think there's any like, oh, if I'm good enough, I won't get cancer, or if I'm, it's a matter of you're going to live your highest vibration possible. And if it's in your path that's what the soul chooses to use as a teaching tool, then so be it. But
Exactly. And that's the confusion. A lot of people in the age realm are like, oh, that person got sick. That's their karma or that this. And I'm like, it's not like that at all. There's no punishment. Like everything is the soul teaching something. Like, yeah, if somebody's doing dark magic on people, of course they're gonna get sick. But in terms of like people, like how I see them look at the spiritual community, it's like, oh, they're not positive affirmations enough to have the high vibe. And it's just like so much nonsense, because they don't understand the depth of the spirituality and karma, how karma plays into our
right,
dark.
yeah, karma is very important. But even as we're evolving into 5, 6, 7D, we won't have any use for karma anymore.
People will
And
actually in their
yeah,
source.
we will be beyond that. Because karma also comes from, remember, we're talking about leaving duality,
Oh, yeah.
negative, positive. Okay. That duality. It's when we're living in that split that those things need to happen.
Mm,
And karma, and there's no purpose for karma when we get into five,
yeah.
six, 7D.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Because we're honoring the perfection in every soul.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every soul has purpose. And how they get to that purpose
The
is all
Shambhala, right?
individual.
Shambhala, Golden Age, that kind of stuff, Golden
Mhm.
Yoga Age. And so, yeah, you're right. It's kind of like everybody will be a master of themselves and then they'll be loving everybody. That's the vision that you see for us. Is that the vision that, or
Eventually,
eventually?
eventually, I think it's going to take time.
Yes.
But even when you refer to dark magic, it's letting go of that concept
Mm-hmm.
of there is such a division of light and dark.
Like even letting that, we have to kind of like delete all the programming of the 3D, be like, actually, the dark was like the light playing dark to teach me something kind of thing you're saying.
Yeah,
And then at some point, you're saying then all of it kind of comes back to source in our consciousness.
exactly.
Okay. I like that. I
Exactly.
like that. That feels empowering, especially with what's
Right.
in the world right now.
Right.
I like that.
And all of us are reaching for empowerment more than anything else. And it is okay to feel your own self-importance. It is okay. I
Mhm.
don't mean to be out there flaunting it like, look at, I'm better than you, or I'm this or that. That is not feeling your self-importance. Your self-importance is, I have a purpose for being here, and I'm going to do my purpose. I'm going to be what I need to be while I'm here.
And that would be like nice. I would love for everybody that's watching to say that, like, hey, this is my purpose for being here, and this is what I'm doing, and to just have that knowingness because it's so empowering. And there was a book called Conversations with the Devil or something written in 1920s, and the guy channeled the devil back then. And he said 98% of people don't know who they are, and that's how he controls them. And he said, I keep them from finding their path, and I teach children from the beginning to follow role models instead of being the teachers. He said, if somebody figured out how to make the students the teachers in the classroom, that would ruin all of my plan. And I just was like, I don't know, for some reason, God had me listen to that 2 months ago because it's a book on YouTube and Napoleon Hill wrote it. But yeah, but you're like, I mean, obviously the darkness has already kind of gone away. The devil, I know that's been destroyed, but I think that book still helps me
It
understand.
says it very well. If you step into your own purpose and become the teacher of what you know,
Mhm.
there won't be anything else. Okay.
Okay, I love that.
So I love the book concept because people who believe in that dark side need to know that they've just been manipulated to stay there.
Exactly. Oh, so they can just kind of come out of it and come back to their source love. And that's why I
Right.
do. It's like you just have like the deepest, biggest heart I've ever seen. That's why I love talking to you. I was so excited to see you. And yeah, I love your compassion even for the dark. And I have compassion for the dark, but then like I have a limit. So it's like I've had a family member that's sick right now. I'm a little like angry with the dark, and it's kind of like lightning, like don't come near me right now because I'm not in my compassion vibe. but I will get to that once my family member is feeling better. But,
Yeah.
and I think we have to allow ourselves to go through our shadow. Like, I'm not going to judge myself that I'm angry at the dark when I know the darkness impacts people getting sick in our world. But I know I'll come back and be like, okay, okay, it's all meant to happen and it all worked out. But I'm not there yet, so I can't lie about it.
Well, your relative is having a wake up call from
Mm.
spirit, and it's a soul's choice again.
Good.
So they can learn from it and change, or keep going the way they are.
Okay, I like that.
So everything's a learning lesson here on Earth.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Is
Thank-
there anything else that you feel guided to share at this time, Darlene, or do you feel complete?
No, I think we've shared quite a bit. We don't want to overwhelm anybody,
Yes.
but when I do my readings, I've just changed a lot to the energetic side of looking, because the one other piece that's important on
Mhm,
the three energetics that I douse is how much of your energy is invested in the present moment, present time, how
mhm,
much is invested in the past, and how much is invested in the future.
mhm.
And those are very telling. And if you're not 100% in the present, you can't accomplish what you're here to accomplish. Because when your energy is invested in the past or in the future, it's of no use to you in the present moment.
Wow, that's such an important takeaway point.
Yes, yes. So these are the things I douse for people when I do sessions. So,
Perfect. And I'm going to put your website down there so people can contact you. Like, I loved my reading, and I'm excited for my new energy reading that you're going to do for me next. And
okay.
so I'll definitely share that. And thank you again so much for coming on a Saturday morning. I so appreciate you and I love you and so grateful to you. And the
Thank
Labyrinth
you.
story was just amazing. So I'm excited to have you at some point have you make me a Labyrinth.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It is always fun to talk to you. And you are so right on track. So keep up the good work. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Big hugs to you.
Big
Okay.
ups to you. Thank you, Darlene.